Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the rapidly evolving and honestly highly promising science behind metabolic peptides. I'm thrilled to have you here. Real quick, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button right now. It really helps us keep bringing you these deep clinical dives. We are talking about the molecular keys that are completely transforming how we treat obesity and aging. And listen, if you want a complete step-by-step roadmap to actually master this topic, I've put together the ultimate guide on peptides. It's a comprehensive workbook available for just $19.99, and the link is right down in the description. It is packed with value. Okay, let's dive right in.
Here is our agenda for today. We're covering the weight loss peptide boom, Semaglutide as the single agonist, Tirzepatide, the dual agonist, Retatrutide, the triple agonist, a quick look at muscle, skin, and recovery, and finally, safety, risks, and approvals.
Section 1. The weight loss peptide boom. So you're probably bombarded by all the hype online right now, right? We really need to ask, what actually makes a peptide such a powerful weight loss tool? How do these specific compounds interact with our biology to trigger such dramatic results? We aren't just talking about a new fad diet here. We're talking about targeted interventions that literally rewrite the body's metabolic signaling.
Now, before we look at the clinical data, I need to make something perfectly clear. This explainer is strictly educational, and it is based entirely on peer-reviewed clinical articles. You should never, ever undertake any peptide treatment without direct supervision from a medical professional. This is powerful science, guys. And remember, if you want all this data neatly organized, grab my complete peptide guide for $19.90 using the link below.
All right, to understand the blueprint of human metabolism, we first need to define an agonist. Just think of an agonist as a biological key. When it enters your system, it searches for a very specific metabolic lock, which is a receptor in your body. When it turns that lock, it triggers a cascade of responses, like signaling to your brain that you're full or telling your stomach to slow down digestion.
Section 2. Semaglutide, the single agonist.
The contrast here is super fascinating. Traditional diets and exercise are fundamental, obviously, but they often fall short for moderate to severe obesity because they just don't fix the underlying hormonal hunger signals. Semaglutide approaches the problem completely differently. It acts as a single agonist. It targets just one receptor, the GLP-1 receptor. By turning this single key, it reduces appetite and cuts down on that relentless food noise in your brain.
And the clinical data from the STEP studies backs this up beautifully. They demonstrate that this single key approach yields an average weight reduction of approximately 15%. That is a massive leap forward from older medications. But as you'll see, the science didn't stop there.
Section 3. Tirzepatide, the dual agonist.
Science rarely stands still, right? Tirzepatide isn't just a stronger version of semaglutide, it's a totally different tool. It is a dual agonist. It targets both GLP-1 and GIP receptors. Essentially, it's turning two metabolic keys at once. This dual action fundamentally improves how the body manages blood sugar and responds to food.
By adding that second receptor, the results from the landmark SURMOUNT-1 trial showed participants losing up to 22.5% of their body weight, depending on the dose. Turning two keys instead of one completely raised the bar for what we thought was possible.
Section 4. Retatrutide, the triple agonist.
Enter Retatrutide, the absolute cutting edge of metabolic research. If two keys were great, what about three? Retatrutide adds the glucagon receptor to the mix, making it a triple agonist. It tackles weight loss from even more angles. And what's absolutely amazing is that early research indicates it might excel at reducing fat accumulation in the liver too.
When we look at this progression, the compounding power of targeting multiple receptors is undeniable. We step from 15% up to 22.5%, and finally,
a staggering 28%. Early clinical research suggests retatrutide could achieve 28% average weight loss. Let that sink in for a second. That potentially makes it the most powerful obesity medication ever developed, rivaling the effects of bariatric surgery, but in a once-weekly injection.
Section 5. Muscle, skin, and recovery.
Let's pivot for just a second, because the broader peptide landscape extends way beyond the scale. The clinical literature highlights MK677, a growth hormone secretagogue that can help the elderly prevent muscle loss and reduce visceral fat. Then you have peptides like BPC-157 and TB500, which are heavily researched for tissue recovery. And for skin health, copper peptides, known as GHKCU, are incredible for elasticity and hydration.
In fact, if you want to use copper peptides in your daily skincare routine, it's highly effective, but there's a catch. You apply it to clean skin and follow with a gentle moisturizer, but you absolutely cannot mix these fragile compounds with harsh acids or retinoids. Doing so literally neutralizes the peptide. Science matters here.
Section 6. Safety, Risks, and Approvals.
Getting back to weight loss medications, we have to ground all this excitement with some sobering realities. As this quote from the Low T Center perfectly points out, there is no best medication, only the one that's best for you. Choosing a treatment is a highly individualized process based entirely on your specific health history.
Across the board, these are powerful therapies, and they carry real risks. The most common side effects are gastrointestinal, nausea, vomiting, which is exactly why careful dose adjustments by a doctor are essential. Also, buying non-FDA-approved research chemicals online is a huge gamble with quality control. And speaking of safety, that MK677 peptide we mentioned, studies clearly state it has an unfavorable safety profile in individuals with congestive heart failure. Medical supervision is 100% non-negotiable.
Seeing how rapidly these molecular keys have evolved from turning one lock for 15% weight loss all the way to turning 3 locks for a potential 28% leaves us wondering just how profoundly this science is going to change human health. Are we finally looking at the blueprint to end the global obesity epidemic? It's a massive question. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to the channel and like this explainer right now. And seriously, if you want the absolute ultimate resource on this stuff, go grab my complete guide to peptides for just $19.90. The link is right there in the description, and I guarantee it's exactly what you need to master this topic. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.